Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, both basketball programs gear up for the start of the season.
And the swim and dive team start their defense of their Big Ten title at home. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Audrey Hausberger.
And I'm Jack Edwards. Audrey, it's a big weekend on the IU sports calendar. What are you looking forward to?
Probably hosting Penn State again, and hopefully they get a win.
Yeah, there's two games against Penn State this weekend, men's soccer, football. It's going to be a good weekend.
Right, but we're going to talk about basketball first. Regular season college basketball is just a few days away. The Indiana men's basketball team will be looking to make the NCAA tournament for the second straight year and also manage expectations after a successful offseason. Our Josh Bodie has more prior to the start of the season.
Indiana basketball heads into the 2022-23 season ranked number 13 in the preseason AP poll, its highest ranking in 6 years. With that ranking comes expectations. However, there are always expectations with Indiana basketball.
So expectations are always going to be high. When I came in here and took the job, expectations were high. This program is built that way, and it should be that way. So it's what it is, man. I'm not going to run from it.
This year's non-conference schedule is considerably tougher than last. With North Carolina, Xavier, Arizona, and a road trip to Kansas, the first 2 months will not be a cakewalk.
We just got to be ready to play and compete and win. I'm not pushing anything else. We cannot run from the schedule. The schedule is what it is.
Trayce Jackson-Davis returns to Indiana for his senior season. He has the individual accolades, including preseason Big Ten Player of the Year, but he's focusing on team success.
I think I have kind of set the stone of my individual legacy, being an All-American and doing all those things, but those don't really matter if you don't win something here, and winning is a big thing here, so winning a national championship and also winning a Big Ten title, those are my two main goals this year.
Like Trayce Jackson-Davis, Mike Woodson's message remains the same.
I came back here to win Big Ten titles and a national title. That's all I want.
From Bloomington, I'm Josh Bodie for IUS TV Sports.
Mike Woodson's team will look to achieve their goal of a Big Ten title and a national title with the regular season starting on Monday at home against Morehead State.
Women's basketball is also back in Assembly Hall, kicking their season off with an exhibition game against Kentucky Wesleyan on Friday night. All eyes will be on the three transfers and how they are adjusting to the Hoosier way of basketball. Graduate forward Alyssa Geary comes to IU from Providence, senior guard Sarah Scalia transferred from Minnesota, and Hoosier-born Sydney Parrish comes back to Indiana from Oregon. Head coach Terry Morin is hoping these new pieces can help fill the holes left behind by the 22 graduates.
Sid, and Sarah and Alyssa, they're vets, right? They're experienced. They understand the expectation. They understand, the level of success we've enjoyed. And so I think more than anything, it's in the recruiting process that we talk about the expectations, the standards, and it's one thing to climb, it's another thing to sustain.
Friday's tip-off is set for 7 p.m. Follow along with our women's basketball beat reporters for updates.
With basketball gearing up, that means football season is almost done. In the home stretch, IU football has been struggling to win and is dealing with injured players. Our own Riley Woodall joins us now with more on the team. Riley?
Thanks, Audrey. Indiana football has another tall task in front of them with number 16 Penn State coming to town this weekend. I had the chance to sit down with senior defensive back Noah Pierre and talk about the team's bond this season. While the Hoosiers are 3-5 and facing extreme adversity, it is their calling card of LEO that holds them together in the locker room.
When people hear LEO, they might think of Tom Allen, Indiana football, or a Big Ten team who fell from grace after a successful 2020 season. But it isn't just a motto or a hollow statement used as a means to an end. LEO is a bond of brotherhood that holds teammates together when things don't go their way.
LEO is about loving each other, but it's also I love you enough to hold you accountable. I'm not going to allow little things to slide so that you can be, I'm not going to allow you to be average. right? I love you too much to let you be average.
Enter the individual wearing number 21 for the Hoosiers, Noah Pierre, a standout leader and senior defensive back for a Hoosier squad that is struggling on game day. But Pierre's journey at Indiana isn't one of immediate success and glory, but is instead one of patience, work, and growth.
You know, in the beginning, it was kind of tough not being able to play as much as I wanted to play, but I always stayed ready, I always stayed prepared. So, you know, last year, a lot of guys got injured and I just got my opportunity. So coming back this year, I knew that once I get on the field, I'm not coming off. So, like I said, you know, just staying prepared, transitioning, like you said, from next man up to starter was big for me because I always wanted to play.
Boy, was he hit hard. It's out. That ball is out, and it's recovered by Indiana. Now they're going to call it incomplete, it appears. Noah Pierre.
He's a warrior. You know, every day he fights, he competes. He has a chip on his shoulder, and you can tell he has a chip on his shoulder. He shows up every day, practice. He practices full speed. When he plays the game full speed. On special teams, he's running down the field. He's 100 miles an hour. He plays with an edge.
Pierre grew up in Hialeah, Florida, where he attended Chapinette Catholic High School. He says that football is everything to his home state and was first introduced to the sport by his mom and grandma when he was just 4 years old. And the rest is history.
In Florida, football is like the main sport, like everybody's playing football. So I've been playing football since I was 4. My mom pretty much got me into it. You know, me and all my siblings, we always stay active with different sports. So, but football was the one that I loved the most. I don't know why though. It's just like being able to tackle, being able to make plays. That was always fun to me. Like I ran track, but I really couldn't get into it because running wasn't really that fun to me. I wasn't tall enough to play basketball, so football was that main thing for me always.
Pierre signed with the Hoosiers back in December of 2017. I asked what drew him to pick Indiana over several other offers on the board. His answer wasn't about wins and losses on the gridiron, but the program's culture off the field.
The love from Coach Allen. You know, being from Florida, I really didn't know much about Indiana football, but like I said, Coach Allen and the coaches, they was always like checking in on me. You know, and then once I came up here for my official visit, it just felt like a family. I'm pretty sure all the players say that because it's true, but you know, like I really felt like this was the place for me once I came up here.
It's more like a family, and they've been together for a long time. You know, they've been together 3 or 4 years, so they've gotten to know each other. So it's more than just, hey, you're my teammate. You know, it's like you're my brother.
After a destabilizing 2021 season and a recent slump of games in 2022, there are several questions surrounding the Indiana football program. Where do they go from here? And does LEO mean anything for a team that can't find a way to win? For Pierre, it's continuing to fight the good fight for others, regardless of the circumstances.
What does IU football and the model of LEO love each other mean to you?
It just means always like, you know, giving whatever needs to be given. You know, it's not always about you. You know, for me specifically, when I think about LEO, it's just being my best so I can be the best for others. You know, I don't always think of it as like loving, you know, like when you say love, people think like, oh, you got to be hugging and kissing, you know, stuff like that. But nah, it's more like, you know, just giving your all for other people. Like, don't make it about you.
LEO means family, and family means bringing the best version of yourself to battle for your teammates every day. With their backs to the wall and in the face of enormous adversity, Indiana football is anchored by loving each other and standing strong in camaraderie when no one else will. From Bloomington, Riley Woodall, IUS-TV Sports. A little bit different perspective on what LEO is all about for the Hoosiers. A big thanks to Noah and Coach Jones. The last time Penn State came to the Rock, it was a barn burner matchup that went into overtime. The Miracle Penix dive to the pylon edged the Hoosiers over the Nittany Lions 36-35 and sent Bloomington into a frenzy. But this year, there are a lot more questions than answers surrounding Indiana football. With star wide receiver Cam Camper out for the season and a quarterback battle in practice this week, we'll have to wait and see what the Hoosiers bring to the table on Saturday. One thing is for sure, though, with 4 games left in the season and nothing left to lose, we could see Indiana pull out all the stops to get their first win since September 17th. Jack, back to you.
Hey, thanks, Riley. The Indiana men's soccer team tied the Maryland Terrapins 1-1 and lost out on a share of the Big Ten title. Our IUS TV sports reporter, Kara Adams, has more.
On a rainy Sunday in Bloomington, the Indiana men's soccer team looked like they were going to get a share of the Big Ten title. Indiana came out strong, playing with high intensity, and in the 25th minute, Ryan Winbring scored off of a free kick earned by Sam Sarver. Yet in the 87th minute, Maryland's Stefan Capetti tied the game, giving the Terrapins the equalizer. Offensively and defensively, Indiana looked better than they have in recent games, but it was unfortunately not enough. It was a back-and-forth game with lots of fouls coming from both teams.
It was physical, and yeah, both teams wanted it really bad. And that's a good thing. This had postseason feel, which is good. Anytime you get that before it, is the true postseason where this next game is there or not there, then that's a good thing. That felt like today. It was something on the line. We're playing for something big, so I like the way we competed for sure.
While Indiana did not get the results they wanted this afternoon, they will still begin postseason play this Friday. The Hoosiers will take on Penn State at home in the Big Ten tournament, and the time will be announced later this week. The Hoosiers will be looking to make another long run this coming postseason. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Kara Adams.
The Hoosiers will begin Big Ten tournament play tomorrow at home against the Penn State Nittany Lions. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. and follow along with IUS TV beat reporters Kara Adams, Amanda Foster, and Aidan Mittal for all the updates.
And coming up after the break, we crown this week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And the men's, women's swim and dive teams host their home opener. You're watching Hoosier Sports Night. Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night.
Joining us in studio for this week's Hoosier Highlight is IUS TV sports reporter Gabe Fenster. Gabe, what you got?
Thanks, Jack and Audrey. This week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week is IU cross country's own Gabriel Sanchez. The sophomore from Lowell, Indiana earned himself quite the resume prior to becoming a Hoosier in 2021. In 2019, Sanchez earned state runner-up in the 800 meter in the IHSSA, along with the state championship and the Gatorade Indiana Boys Cross Country Runner of the Year award. Since becoming a Hoosier, Sanchez has become dominant on both indoor and outdoor tracks. In 2021, he earned academic All-Big Ten honoree while advancing to the final of the 1500 meter at the Big Ten Championships, as well as setting a personal record in the 5000 meter at the Rally Relays. Sanchez rounded out the year 38th at the NCAA Great Lakes Regional, 45th at the Big Ten Championship race, and winning the 8K at the IU Open. This season, Sanchez finished third in the Big Ten Championship race, earning himself first team All-Big Ten. Each season, Gabriel Sanchez adds more and more to an already historic resume. With Sanchez, the IU cross country program is in great hands. And that's all for this week's Hoosier Highlight. Audrey, back to you.
Thanks. The swim and dive team competed in their first home meet of the season this past Friday. IUS TV sports reporter Ashley Voss has more on what went down.
Indiana swimming and diving won their first home meet of the season against the Missouri Tigers this past Saturday. A much-needed win coming off of a close loss of just 10 points against number 2 ranked Texas the weekend before.
We came close against Texas, and that still a little bit stings. I don't think we're going to forget that one too soon. Every swimmer's got to do their job. Every coach has got to do their job, and we did that today.
The Hoosiers certainly did their job this meet, beating the Tigers by over 40 points on both the men's and women's side. And the divers of this meet springing into action, having 3 competitors sweep 4 events.
To have a meet like this, to get our confidence back and know that we are a great team, I think it's great. I think we just keep rolling in from here.
Roll they will, because Coach Luce has big expectations from the team this season.
We don't accept mediocrity because, mediocrity and high standards, they conflict and they don't get along.
Mediocrity was out of sight this meet as Van Mathias demonstrated the high standards Coach Luce is looking for.
He's transitioned into completely different events, and he's now our fastest sprinter.
Fifth-year senior Van Matthias not only transitioned from being a leader on the team, but also from stroke to sprint, which was showcased today in his 50 free event, going a 19.63.
I wasn't always a sprinter, but coming in and doing some great things, and especially in a brief, it's awesome, and I just love seeing my team hype.
There was plenty for this team to be hype about this meet, with sophomore swimmer Anna Peplowski winning the 50, 100, and 200 free this meet, freshman Mia DeWick obtaining her first collegiate win of her career, and sophomore Quinn Henniger dominating the 1-meter board, scoring over 400. Be sure to tune in next week for coverage on the Hoosiers against the Buckeyes. From Bloomington, Ashley Voss, IUS TV Sports.
Next, the Hoosiers will travel to Columbus, Ohio for the Ohio State Invitational starting on November 17th.
Indiana volleyball looked to extend their winning streak to 4 on Friday against Rutgers. Our Andy Manzer has more.
It's Halloween weekend as the Indiana Hoosiers faced off against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. For the Hoosiers, it was no tricks and all treats as they pull off a sweet victory against the Knights in 4 sets.
You know, ideally I would have loved to have won in 3, but any win in the Big Ten is a good win. As I was mentioning, the top 6 teams in the Big Ten right now, I think it's 1, 5, 7, 8, 10, and 12. Something like that, and we're in 7th.
The Hoosiers offense was led by Maddie Saris and Morgan Geddes, who had a combined 37 kills and 75 total assists. Defensively, the Hoosiers were a brick wall, recording 13 blocks and totaling 60 digs.
There's always a game plan when there's like a shorter setter front row. You always want to overload that because it's easier to attack over top of. So I think, Cam did a really good job implementing that game plan into the game, and it really paid off. And our passers took great care of us, took great care of Cam. It was all working smoothly.
With their victory today, the Hoosiers extend their winning streak to 4 games. First time that has ever been done in the Big Ten since 2008. The Hoosiers look to build off this momentum next week, and we'll see what the season holds. For IUS TV Sports, this is Andy Manzer.
Indiana finished the weekend with a loss to Purdue on Sunday. The loss marks the 21st straight loss in a row to the Boilermakers. And last night, Indiana faced number 5 Nebraska and ultimately couldn't get the job done. After a hard-fought battle, Indiana will next take on number 3 Wisconsin on Sunday.
Indiana field hockey hosted the number 4 ranked Northwestern Wildcats in their season finale on Friday. The Hoosiers' defense lived up to this season's standards throughout the first half. Sophomore goalkeeper Arabella Loveridge and her backline constricted the dynamic Wildcat offense by keeping them scoreless going into the halftime. In their second half, however, Northwestern woke up. Midfielder Peyton Halsey cut through the deadlock to put NU up 1-0 in the 43rd minute. Another goal soon followed as Benty Bakers sunk one past Loveridge for her 21st goal of the season. Indiana cut the lead to 1 thanks to a goal from Sofia Arabola Garcia with 10 minutes left, but it wasn't enough to spark a rally. The game ended 2-1 with Indiana falling just short of the qualification. Junior Sydney Keld and senior Kennedy Reardon earned regular season honors. Keld was named to the All-Big Ten second team, and Reardon received the Sportsmanship Award.
The Hoosier cross-country teams competed in the Big Ten Championships last Friday in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The men's team started the day with an 8K race, finishing 3rd as a team. Top finishers for the Hoosiers included Jake Gebhardt and Austin Haskett. Gabrielle Sanchez was the top finisher for the Hoosiers, placing 3rd overall with a time of 23 minutes and 50 seconds, earned himself a bronze medal. The women's team continued the day with their 6K race, finishing 7th as a team. Top finishers included Mariah Worley and Maddie Dalton. The Hoosiers' top finisher, Sarah Schmidt, placed 5th overall with a time of 20 minutes and 18 seconds. The Hoosier cross-country teams are back in action this Friday here in Bloomington for the Hoosier Invitational.
The Indiana men's tennis team competed in the Fighting Irish mini duel event at Notre Dame. In singles, freshman sensation Sam Landau won 3 out of 4 of his matches. He defeated Louisiana's Will Mayhew and DePaul's Alexa Krivakopich in 3-set nail-biters. In doubles, Luke Boyer and Andrew Mayer defeated a duo from Notre Dame. IU's Landau and Kumar defeated Krivakopich and Jakic of DePaul comfortably by a score of 6-3. The pair also defeated Mayhew and Mizrahi of UL 6-4, ending their weekend 2-2 in doubles. The Hoosiers look to wrap up their fall season in the Big Ten Championships at the University of Michigan starting tomorrow.
The Indiana women's tennis team closed out their fall season by competing in the 34th annual Roberta Allison Classic at the University of Alabama. In doubles, IU's Rose Hugh and Sabi Nihalani defeated a pair from Michigan State 7-5 in the semifinals to advance to the final round. On the other side of the bracket, Lauren Lemons and Mila Majic of IU defeated a duo from Tulane 6-4. Both the Hoosier doubles teams made the finals appearances but were not able to come away with the win. In the singles competition, Lauren Lemons won her draw, taking the finals match 6-3, 7-6. Mila Majic won 2 matches but lost in the finals. Rounding out singles, Sabi Nialani defeated Ole Miss in the semis. The Hoosiers now look to prepare for the spring tennis season.
Before we end this week's show, our own Kennedy Rehklau joins us in studio for the Candy Stripe calendar. Kennedy, what's on tap for the Hoosiers this weekend?
Thanks, Audrey and Jack. Let's take a look at this weekend in IU athletics, starting with an action-packed Friday. The men's tennis team is set to compete in the Big Ten individuals Friday through Sunday. Wrestling is at SIU Edwardsville with matches starting at 7 p.m., while women's basketball faces off at home against Kentucky Wesleyan, also at 7 p.m. The cross-country team will be hosting the Hoosier Invitational beginning at 3:20 p.m. To wrap up Friday, the men's soccer team will battle at home with Penn State in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. On to Saturday, IU football will host number 16 Penn State at 3:30 p.m. Wrestling will make their way to St. Louis, where they will take part in the Maryville Open. Men's and women's swim and dive will travel to Indianapolis for the FINA World Cup. Finally, on Sunday, women's rowing will race against Ohio State as the women's volleyball team will look to take down number 3 Wisconsin in Madison at 2 p.m. That's all for this week's Candy Stripe calendar. Audrey and Jack, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Kennedy, and that's all for our show for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports to keep up with all the latest in IU athletics. For our production crew behind us, I'm Jack Edwards.
And I'm Audrey Hausberger. We'll see you next week.